they can bring it back as they start off the band phase here on Kafe, and the Nomad is the first to go.
Yeah, I think the thing about FaZe is, sure, the question mark that has been over them at this tournament so far is the consistency of the players. I know Jess was talking about it on the desk and saying that the Diffuser's been juggling around. They haven't quite been able to just have a solid identity. They've sort of been missing that structure that won them so much in the Sweden major, in ELV.
It definitely did. It won them the whole major in the end.
But in that same sort of moment, you look at who defeated them. The only teams that have taken them so far was Liquid twice, 2-2-0s, and they are probably, for a lot of people, the tournament favorites at the minute. They're one of two names, based on performance on the tournament alone. Them and Empire are likely the names etched in for a lot of people.
I think TSM is starting to make their way in there as well.
For sure, for sure.
We'll know more tomorrow at 4 AM for poor Jenna.
4 AM.
1 AM actually it was, and she needs to work at 5 AM. So I said, just stay up. You watch the game.
Yeah.
Let's work right after. Either way, that's not yet, but that's gonna be an interesting match as well. Either way, we are getting underway, and this phase that looks to repeat that success from November Major, but this time through that lower bracket, of course, need to make it happen. And Bar Cocktail will be the first side they attack, as Elevate choose to go to the top floor.
That's it, Elevate all the way to the top here, and they've got to get off to a good start. Kafe is a good map for them, but it's the energy that they need to bring to stop an encroaching FaZe. A team that can also play this map, and a team that's demonstrated that. Here it goes, though. The opening here across the top, and there was stuff about this site that I really loved, and what I'm going to point towards is what's in the pockets of the Jackal and the Twitch, the smoke plays that FaZe have done as executes on this top floor.
I like how the Jackal is actually coming in after what we saw Elevate pull off against Rogue. Wonder if that one will be making it back. Actually, you know what's funny? I can hear the players in my headset the entire time. Like, I can hear them.
Okay. I think I've got them a little bit.
Yeah, I got them a little bit as well. I cannot understand what they're saying.
Well, no, they're probably
slightly
in either Thai or
yeah, I was gonna say I don't speak their languages, but it's quite funny. You can hear them get hyped up every now and then. Either way, yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see. Our FaZe going to go for a aggressive, quick, planned strategy here. Use those smokes to their advantage after they try and explode onto the side, or will we see a bit more of a slow approach, where they will slowly go up from the bottom to the top? No, that's not the case. Cyber already injured here, and Onigiri on 1 HP. It's going to be the entry frag still, though, for the side of Astro and FaZe, as Onigiri gets himself healed back up by the field hospital, as Medics calls it.
Where did Zappa get got from? That was a second engagement. Was it on White Stairs? It was caught out as he tried to rotate down, but then there goes Cameraman from White Stairs window. Everything is kind of exploding from a couple of different places at this moment in time, and well, Elevate wanted to hit a pace with this, and FaZe are more than happy to sort of try and meet it for now. One body off of each team. Cyber's back to his feet, and as the C4 pops on the piano window, Onigiri's been able to get himself back in next to piano and get himself pretty healed up.
Now, it is a quite explosive start from the side of Elevate here, and that might work out, at least for this round. Not quite sure if it will last the entire time, but this is, of course, this CAG kind of playstyle we know from the last 6 Invitational, where they managed to keep BDS and Empire at bay. But as DCH pops up, he gets another down. It's Astro that will lose his life. There we go. But he instantly gets traded out. Souls from the top. And that might have been a very costly mistake going for that second swing.
That's it. He went to try and cement the kill there, but obviously that second time round was more than enough time for Souls to get into a position to get that set up for a trade. Turned a great flank take and a huge question mark into a bit of an exclamation point. Onigiri's still around Cigar Lounge, still trying to find himself an engagement. It's sort of proving a little bit distant right now because there's attention being paid around him but not directly to him. There's some pressure. Caught, though, by a jammer just on the other side of that small bar, and that means they're going to have to see if they can try and potentially get a drone in, which is going to start its work here from White.
Still have one there in that bathroom. Will be not droned out, but at least pressured a little bit. And Nagiri takes some damage, but can always fall back towards one of those field hospitals as he makes the rotate through. But that also means there's currently no pressure on the piano side, as they knew that that player has just rotated through. So that gives them a bit of free space. Cyber, however, gets spotted out due to a proc sensor, so they know one is around the white stairs area. And as the diffuser gets dropped by Onigiri, it is a good start here. Nate goes down as well, however, and that means it's a 2-on-2 situation now.
Onigiri, he's going to see if he can find the first fight, and there it is. Popped onto one, the last. Around the backside of Lumber, and well, he's just going to swap guns, but get dropped out. Cyber is able to find one. There's the swing on the door that doesn't quite get him. Nerix locks off the round for Elevate.
And after they continue to put up that pressure to that outside area, they continue to, well, challenge them as soon as they're on the repels. In the end, Elevate are able to get a round off it here. Even though some costly mistakes happened. I mean, Nagiri managed to get an injury, was down to 1 HP, but as you could see, he healed himself back up with the Thunderbird. Salvation stations, or if you put multiple together, a field hospital.
Yeah, it builds the whole little safety box.
It builds the whole little safety box until a grenade rolls in and destroys it all.
Yeah, that's true.
But in the end, they still managed to continue that trading game. And as the line gets 6 picked out from cameraman, it's a gridlock to come through. So they want to make sure that they can get rid of potential rotating from these defenders by locking off the stairs, most likely.
Reading is where Elevate are going to see if they can put a little bit more distance here on their hold. They get off to a start. FaZe, you assume there might be a little bit more attention paid to the potential of the damage done onto the windows. Obviously, if they're able to catch a player off early in that engagement, and they were able to pick them up, sure, but still, it's FaZe. It's a team that reacts and responds and tries to re-up their advantage to, I guess, redefine their approach itself. Elevate, they're stacking themselves up here with the vertical hold that Reading requires. They're going to have a back line. They have that true lock-in, and, you know, there's still that sort of combination of pocket smokes that could come into a big play with a couple of frags behind it.
Alrighty, Elevate found a round. They are in the lead. They haven't had this luxury yet here against FaZe. Of course, there is still a map down, so they need to find one here on Kafe. They need to make sure that they get some quick pressure, some quick entries here, and is Nagiri just rotating around, walking through that bakery. Maybe if there was a Jackal, he could be spotted out, you know, waste some time there, let them think someone could be on that roam, but just continues to roam around, get these drones as he takes them out one by one. I think he might have missed a Twitch drone that was chasing him, however. To the most valuable one he didn't take.
And that's it. He's keeping himself mobile. He's keeping himself moving, and this is exactly what they needed before, which caused them a huge amount of problems.
There's only 6 drones left already, so many have been taken out very early on. Make that 5. Actually, just one more got taken out. So Elevate really working against the information from FaZe here.
And that's it. And that's sort of the game that he's leaning into. If we throw our minds back to Club when they needed to try and have a bit of a shot, or Oregon even, just after, that was when we started to see more of that aggression lead in, more of that play that really hit a peak at the start of Oregon here, and maybe it's the second map after the first has faltered where we might start to see Onigiri of that game before. A lot of pressure here to the top of Lumber. Cameraman's coming up the stairs and Bullets coming down it, but it's Cameraman that gets the kill, and the swing from Cyber doesn't quite get the connection, but that C4 sure does. Back on to those white stairs. Went for a little bit of a soft retake, but pulls himself a little bit further away, put a bite, put a nip into the ankle, and then retreat to cause them some more problems as the verticality starts to get popped open.
They're starting to open up right here, and a verticality will be found. ECH takes a lot of damage. However, field hospitals are still a thing. The big issue, however, is though that there is a vertical right above it. So even if they do try and get to that position, you'll probably be killed before you reach it. But the way that they place these Kona stations is actually really telling of the playstyle, whilst the Twitch drone is taking most of them out. Because they put them all in one spot, and that shows that they want to skirmish, that shows that they want to take these gunfights and then fall back as soon as they win one, heal themselves back up to full HP so they can go again.
Cyber suffers on his toes, but it's the swing and Eric's that locks it out. There's a second in there, but he's got a gun that just keeps going. Bullet is the next to be hurt, but Astro's inside the side round the back line, gets one, looks for the second on Zulu, but it's on Onigiri through the soft, but it is instantly traded out from White, and Souls is now the man inside the site with 30 seconds. 2 versus 1. Sapper still has a C4. He's going to make a little bit of noise on the swing, but finds the kid in the diffuser, and Bullet is still above. Has hot pings and now a couple of yellow, but he can't quite get the angle. He's going to have to go for a hot hop. There's a drone and a bit of a reveal. He's going to go for a reposition close on the swing. The prox gives the game away. It's just a matter of timing and an angle, and it's Sapper that gets the connection.
1v2 clutch coming in the end there. Sapper able to find a way to lock out that round after FaZe was able to just flood the side. I mean, there wasn't many players left, just two in the end on the side of FaZe, because they took a lot of losses entering. But it did take quick control of that top floor site. They did use that verticality well to put up some more pressure onto the players of Elevate, but Sapper able to go unnoticed, had no clue that he was coming through that door. And this is where those drones start to become an issue, because there was only 4 drones left. 2 of them were placed, 2 of them were in pocket by the time that FaZe went for an execute.
Jackal's back in lieu of Lion, and maybe they can try and funnel some space here, but there's also a swap out the Echo to the Mozzie. If you're going to talk about a drone game that was under control, they're going to try and add to that. They're going to sort of add that little bit extra, that little bit more of a problem to it. And I guess it could be that double-edged thing. There's already 1 drone that's gone, 4 of 4 now, and you're looking at maybe a bit of caution that might have to be paid by the drone games. And whether that will result in more kills or not, it might force FaZe to sort of be a little bit more thoughtful about their rotation of them.
Yeah, and of course they lose 1 normal drone. They just lost another one that has been shot because of the Cyber Zero playing on that Twitch gives you 2 shock drones. But they also have Souls right now on the floors, which brings these 4 Atero drones. And those can also be used for information, just not as flank watches. You get about 10 seconds of those to try and drive them in as deep as you possibly can and find a suitable target for the explosive charge that's mounted to it. And as Elevated currently leading 2-0 right now, they're trying to make up for the mistakes they made on that first map on Bank. They want to go to a third. They want to proceed and want to be the best APAC team here at the World Championships.
Behind the bar of the bakery is where they've built a little bit of a hold, but without a shield, and I think only about 1 ADS apart from potential discs that get thrown in here. It's just seeing how much time they can sort of withstand before they might need to try and pull themselves back. It's sort of that battle against it. Onagiri's going to battle into it. Takes a huge amount of damage and then a little bit more. It was a very risky maneuver there. He swung onto the window, a small bake, and at that point you can't really get into those scenarios too often with FaZe. As I said, they're a team that learns, and they're a team that's having to play against that. The Flores drone is caught out, the smokes pop off on the door. They potentially wanted to move in behind it. The Twitch drone goes a bit wide and is able to catch some of those mute jammers. Some of that is slowly being pulled away from, as I said, it's that battle of attrition here. And he's just seeing how long he can hold on.
I think that ADS is still, however, on that cupcake, and that means that as soon as they put up a grenade, it might pick him up. Sapper able to find 1. The trades are coming through. However, Astro takes control of that bakery, and that forces DCH to fall back. Only 2 players left on the Elevate side of things against the 4 of FaZe, who are looking to make a plan happen. They could go right behind the bomb chest. It's quite relatively safe, but they do spot out a player on the backside of that B bomb side, and that means they need to be quite careful about it. They need to sneak in that diffuser in a way where it isn't quite in trouble just yet.
There it is. Sol's going to see if he can stick it behind the bomb chassis. The C4 is ripped, thrown, and not blown. Caught the man and his tricks in the same spray, and suddenly a post plant with DCH, the only one still standing. Can't get the first. Astro is able to keep driving it. 2-1. FaZe find their first attack on their 3rd attempt.
They find it indeed, and it's a tertiary site that Elevate wanted to play here, and that means that it is still quite okay. I mean, they did manage to get that tertiary. Now they're starting to play sites again that they have seen before. Of course, the big issue with the top floor hold, which we will head back to now, the bar, was the fact that there was that much pressure towards the outside of the building. The early spawn peaks that came through, able to find a trade, able to find a DBNO as well. And of course as well, the hatches being challenged, the windows being challenged, just to make sure that FaZe was unable to get into the building properly, is eventually what starved them out of time, starved them out of personnel. And that left them with a round loss. But now they know. Now they have experienced it. And that might actually be the differentiating factor. They might be a little bit more aware, put their drones in the right positions as well to spot these kind of window plays.
Okay, FaZe, now there's a little bit of a question on you here. If you can take this, You can take bar, and you can set yourself up with an even half. And their first site that, well, you've been able to retake at this, it sort of proves that learning point. And it was loose play. And as I said, Onigiri, he's still positive for now, but the longer that goes on, you assume the more FaZe is going to potentially try and key into it and expect it. They were able to get that kill on Small Bake pretty early on, and you can't really double down with those same maneuvers. It's the ferocity that means there's always going to be the chance of a change, but you don't just want to end up with your change being loose.
No, definitely not. And FaZe will want to make sure that this time, again, some pressure towards the outside. They're starting to just spray out these windows in Piano. It's Onigiri, of course, who else that is looking to find that early aggression. He wants to be the difference maker here for the side of Elevate. And there's now a player who's upon that one. It's Estro that gets the opening kill. They were looking to make it happen the other way around, and it's the fourth one in this map, the fourth one in Kafe, that goes to the way of FaZe.
At this point, with how much noise Elevate are making on the approach, the response FaZe have taken is, well, let's just make the same amount of noise, because they're not really hiding anything. They're not hiding too much. And, well, it's a quick play there, and they throw the Selma onto the hatch instead of wasting time. Obviously, they have themselves the options to put down those breaches, and maybe they were concerned about some potential C4 aggression, but nobody has one on the board. There's no...
Of course, they don't know that.
Yeah, they don't know that, but that's I guess, going swift and seeing what you can do with it is the only thought pattern to pulling that play.
Yeah, of course, and in the meantime he rotated all the way around. He's at the bottom, but the rest of FaZe is starting to execute. The repels are coming through, the plant as well together with those Candelas. The execute is on its way, and as they start picking up the kills, it's actually the diffuser that gets cancelled out. It's Cameraman that loses his life, but it's only Sepper left now. It's not left either, as it gets picked up from the Cigar. A very quick round from FaZe. After they find Onigiri, they just explode into that site with these Candelas to lead them in. And that is a 2-2. They have equalized.
Twice Onigiri has been that opening death across two different positions where he was pretty aggressive. Caught out, coming back from Pixel. Okay, that might have been a cold read. That might have been just a sort of plucky shot. But then also the fight that happened on Small Bake. You know, you come into this situation where you already have proven how big of a factor you can be for your team in an earlier showdown. You play the game of your life, it takes a lot out of you. Yeah, no two ways about that. And here, if you're trying to reignite that magic, it is always that 50-50 coin, because you are, as we've already said, already deep into a series like that. They have the knowledge of the sort of play style you like to play based on solely today, let alone all the other previous prep they might have had together.
I mean, FaZe had the opportunity to watch that previous map as well, and Kafe Dostoyevsky is where Elevate were able to take that match with a 7-3 victory first to start off that series. So the little tricks that they might have been able to pull there against Rogue surely shouldn't be working out now, as they supposedly should be aware. And of course, we are still yet to see that second round, and that is really where the difference was made, or the second half, I must say. When Elevate was on the attack, that was the differentiating factor in that game. When Nerix was able to freely take these many kills on that bottom floor, so many opening kills together with the Jackal. And I think that is something FaZe needs to counter. That is something they can hard counter as well, because they barely droned him in. He just walked right through the same door every single time because he knew there was no one there. If he does that again, it's an easy counter. You get him once, he's not going to try it again.
There's some legs. There's a player.
Oh, no
way! Cyber swung and connected with not only the face of Onigiri, but maybe the heart and soul of APAC for a second. And that was just so swift. And as I said, those sort of plays, it's not that they become predictable, but if you expect the chaos, you find yourself a little bit more receptive to it. DCH on the backside of Piano, droned out. There's a player on the upside down rappel, pre-firing the softs that he might be hiding behind. But otherwise, they're still waiting for this pressure.
Again, Onigiri missing that opportunity, hitting one of the shots in Cyber. And yes, he is down to 50 HP, but it should have been a kill. It should have been a free kill for the side of Elevate. And yet again, FaZe find their 5th entry here on this map. That is going to be their 11th total in these series. So FaZe doing a really good job here at opening up the rounds, opening up these games against Elevate. And as they headed to the bar, towards the top floor yet again, after FaZe were able to put that Ying plan, pull it off. They get a bit of a different setup on FaZe. It is going to be Decapitao, who is currently deploying some of these bolts. I don't know if there's smoke, if they're Yeah, that smoke coming through might have been asphyxiating first into the bathroom. There you have it, a very long angle.
I was going to say, that's a rehearsed shot, isn't it?
That is actually right behind the benches as well. So that is going to be so much territory you suddenly cleared.
Well, as that starts to get popped open, you can see they've stepped up onto Lumber, but Cameraman is coming around from the opposite side. DCH, he's under a bout of pressure here. He's just trying to make some attention and draw some focus as more smokes pop, but so does Cyber. Astro's taken out in the meantime. Oh, Cyber! He is still doing Cyber things. There's one close right that he just sees and somehow gets two! Cyber Zero with a quad, and Cameraman for the end. And FaZe for the round that pulls them ahead, 3-2.
I just wanted to give credit to the smoke that was deployed by Capitao. It might seem a bit weird, but it locked off any further lines aside that were coming down all the way from the cocktail balcony, allowing Cyber to take the fight purely onto planks here. Actually, no, it was a failed one. It looked from the top down that it was better, wasn't in the end. I tried to hype up the smoke and it failed. By the way, the quad kill came through in the end, and that is still an impressive feat here. And FaZe lead into 3-2, having the opportunity to lock off their attack with a 4-2 half. And Elevate, where they started as strong on the map here, it might seem like they're falling apart. Onigiri, who has been unable to find that entry, but has been engaged in it for 2 or 3 of the rounds, is not really having the same impact he had before.
He's been the entry death 3 times in a row, and the closest he got was that last time, and yeah, it was a heck of a swing. Against a lot of other players, that would have been a take, but against Cyber, it wasn't. And a quad kill bolsters him up. He's 6-2. You've had Astro firing off on cylinders throughout the game as well, and we're missing that connection right now from Elevate. A couple of players have been able to get little bites and nips on the 2 rounds that opened this up. But if they find themselves on the wrong side of a 4-2, it might put them in a bit of a tricky situation coming into the close here. The closer they get to the end of this, the longer it will feel. And it's worth sort of looking at the fact that, you know, when it came around to it before, they were at least able to secure 3 of their defenses.
Yeah.
When it came to it, but they started on attack and they only needed 3. With a 4-2 on their attack half. So a 4-2 to suffer on this end, theoretically, isn't entirely the end of the world.
It isn't the end of the world. They might still be able to turn it around out there, but it's definitely not looking good for them. E1D is being popped, and DCH is ready and waiting for a punch through that window, but Nay is going to be able to pick up the first kill. It's Astro that gets locked out. He tried to go quick through the window below and gets punished for it.
Hops down with the safety of the pillar, but it's on Onigiri to find Souls. Doubles down and gives Elevate a little bit more to work with here. They're sort of trying to meet a little bit more pressure. And with the success off the back of Nay finding his first for the game, he's got that confidence to go for the swing here. Cyber gets one back. DCH and E1D over the sky buys a little bit of a moment. They have obviously players on the far side, and that drone is just going to try and get a read, but it's a grenade onto Nay and Onigiri onto Cameraman. Outside on the mining spray with a second. Same window, 2 on that one with 1 outside, gets himself that triple, and now Cyber on the back line is looking for at least Onigiri, finds him, gets him down, but no, before Sapper picks it back up. 3-3.
It was still a dangerous one, but that jump in there is so unfortunate. He jumped in, he realized, I done goofed up.
It's like the freeze frame.
Yeah, it's like, it was at this moment.
It was at this moment.
But yeah, 3-3, and round 7 soon underway. It is at least Elevate that lock off an even split after it started to get away from them. And they did so on the back of their first opening in this map. Nay Pew. Able to pew the opponent first. And now we're headed towards Bar to the top floor. That will be the first site that we will see on the side of FaZe. And Nerix is back on the Jackal. Now, we did see how effective he was in the game against Rogue. And he will probably do the exact same thing where he checks if there's any footsteps around. And if there is, he will be scanning them and trying to hunt down that roamer. It is up to FaZe to either completely ignore it or to try and play into it by going for a bait. I mean, if you shut him down in this round and you shut him down in the next, they might even swap off it because they are like, okay, this isn't really working. We need to change it up. Also, a fun little thing, neither of these teams have called a tactical timeout yet these last 2 maps.
I think that's it. As I was saying before, Elevate, they believe a 4-2 is fine. If they were to suffer the end of it, they're obviously able to swing it into a 3-3 either way. So their drive is happier on the attack here. FaZe, they were good on their defense. They were more than capable of keeping Elevate at bay before, and they're happy to try and continue that. They're going to see if they can play around windows too. But they're not going to stick it for as long and suffer the potential consequences.
I probably want to make sure that they stay alive just a little bit longer here. Don't risk anything. They are currently a map up right here, and if you start throwing away rounds, you can almost say by losing to spawn peaks, that is not something that will be very helpful for your journey back towards the grand final. Of course, got knocked down early by their Latam brethren, Liquid, who, I mean, they got so close last year, the runners-up, and weren't able to make it. Would that actually be SSG? Back then it was NIP as the runners-up when they were the champions. NIP won it the year after. Liquid were the runners-up. As it's Enagiri that opens up right here, it's another entry for the side of Elevate. The point I wanted to make is, if Liquid win it now, then we have 3 years in a row where the runners-up take it, or 2 years in a row.
Well, that's a little bit ahead of ourselves.
It's a little bit ahead of ourselves. I just started thinking about that fact.
Hey, you think about that. You put that on the subreddit.
Not yet.
Well, Nay is putting himself inside the bottom of white, is able to take care of cameraman, and the call from the E1D goes out to allow them a little bit more space and coverage. There's a single loose player on the far side of red. Drop down and they have the chance to rotate. Bullet's going to see if he can try and retake potentially a little bit of white before this flood starts to come through, but the flashes on Lumber means he's gone for a different rotate. That's Cyber.
Did they know? I don't think they know. He's going to swing around with a shotgun here. FaZe is out now close as well. It's the actual smoke that comes through. Deals a little bit of damage, but not quite enough. And Enagiri somehow takes nut. Finds a kill, finds a double, brings it back to a 3-on-2. FaZe, they are still a man down, but at least the main pressure from white has been dropped, and so has the diffuser. Bullet picks up Sapper. And that brings it to that 2-on-2. It's Nerix and Enagiri. They have a lot of utility left to still try and get some information. And as they start swinging around that corner, it is going to be the question whether or not Nerix wins the first gunfight. Enagiri picks him up. It's only up to Bullet now.
Now he dropped the diffuser on the far side, and this has been a lot of quick moments and aggression. He's hiding, but he's tracked. They know the corner he's in. They know exactly where he's at, and Elevate. They have some heat and some energy. It is them back in the lead in the driver's seat, taking the first attack, scrappy in a skirmish. But it's theirs, and it's 4-3.
They take it, they take the lead here and have the opportunity to fight back for their own map win. That smoke, I thought it was going to do more damage to Enagiri, who I believe was on his drone at that time, but wasn't actually the case. Didn't take damage. Stayed alive, got the refrag, ensured them of a potential to still win that round. And even though the diffuser got dropped, the scans coming in clutch there, able to find out he is right behind the whiskey bar. There is unfortunate. Now there's only one angle out.
Frame, and it was at this moment. Yeah, I mean, we've seen them run the Jackal so well. We've seen them run the Jackal on this map earlier against Rogue on their attacks. As I said, it was much scrappier this time round, and that flank, there was the moment when that first SMG ripped, and you were like, do they know? And then it was, they don't know. But obviously, Enagiri being monumental and being able to pull that back in, one engagement going the other way, and that could have very easily been a FaZe round. And they're going to still stack themselves up with the support of top, but it's obviously for that mid-site hold. You still need the verticality. We've said it many a times today.
We have. And Enagiri's on a bit of a roll again, where he's struggled a little bit after he's been opening killed upon 3 times in a row. He's finding himself with 11 kills now.
It's just out of nowhere.
It's just out of nowhere. Suddenly, the fire has been ignited yet once again, and he starts his journey to bring Elevate across the finish line yet once again. And they want to do that this map, because otherwise they're out. They need to win this map, just to be clear for everybody. After that, they'll head to Villa if they get that far, and they might be able to knock out FaZe.
FaZe, they're getting themselves structured inside reading, and you obviously still get the idea they're trying to control the space as best as possible. But look at Nay with the chance on the Ying, and look at this, they're already in train, they're droning it out, but the pings are there. They're well aware that Enagiri's been able to stack this close, finds the first engagement and suffers, but so does Astro. Neither has the option for any help at this point in. It's just going to see if they can try and let someone else be that front line, but Enagiri has to sit and hold and wait for Sapper to come up the bottom of white. with Vertical still away from them, pulls away at the worst second, but Onigiri picks him up at the best moment. The tracks are coming around inside, reading itself. They still have that structural hold above, as I said before. It seemed like Elevate want to try and cut it off at the pass, but it just means the control of Cyber is going to rotate its way slowly towards white.
They still don't have an entry onto the actual side itself. There's a lot of long angles they need to be worried about on the side of Elevate, but with the opening that Onigiri still managed to find, and Astro being this low on HP, everything that touches him will die at this moment in time. A swing around the corner will come in. I think that might be the Candelas to lead in this push as well, but the injury comes through from the top of the stairs. It's Bullets that finds him and slows down the push magnificently here. DCH also taking a lot of damage. Elevate, they stay alive for now, before the first kills start coming through.
Well, there it is. All the pings come against them. Souls and Astro find one apiece, and Nate is picked back up, but there's not really much else in the canister. Neither can be said the same for Onigiri. He's trying to find a scrappy firefight at this point, but generally the hands are in FaZe's favor. They've been able to lock the door of that fireplace. They have the width of the swing as well, because they can do that. They can go via Zulu corner, and they can now spray back towards the back line. Onigiri with a great take onto the first, but 3 more to find in 45 seconds, and one of them's about to swing on the door. Cyber, he's eyeing it up, but the pings are also back and forth. Oh! Onigiri had that read. And now it's down to see if he can have... Nope.
No, we don't complete that sentence there. It's FaZe that gets that round, brings it back to 4 apiece. 14 kills currently on Onigiri, and most of those have been happening in the last 4 rounds. He's on fire. Even though it didn't lend them the round, didn't give them the round this time around, it is dangerous when that man is coming aflame and is starting to rise up here. For the side of Elevate, for the hearts of APAC, Onigiri is that hope that they have that Elevate might be able to live through this game.
Bar Cocktail. Back to the top. They think they've learned the lesson of what they suffered on the first time round here, and FaZe are going to see if they can keep themselves more in control. Try and limit the drones with the Mozzie, the Malusi to slow the roll, and the Echo. Potentially as that roaming intel in front of a big fragger, or just as that last ditch. It does have options and little corners you can hide those drones in to try and stop a plant on Kafe. It sort of has a little bit of a joint showing in both an aggressive intel gathering item, and then as just that last ditch, last hope. I'm downstairs, but my drones sure aren't.
That could be it. I mean, that's often it, right? Like, as soon as the pressure starts to arise and you start losing these battles, you just see the Echo making sure that he gets out of there as quickly as he possibly can, especially if there's only 20 seconds left on that board, because that is when those yokais become so efficient, so effective. And now Ekka's favorite saying is, efficiency is clever laziness. Yes, exactly. Not sure how lazy it is to run through an entire building to be safe, but hey, you know, it works out for him.
It depends. You can jump.
You can jump. That's just a single press of a button. But 4-4 and Elevate, they are still equal. And it looked for a while that FaZe were starting to get back into it. After round 3 and 5 entries in a row for FaZe, now you were a bit worried for Elevate. Even though they did have those 2 first rounds, you're never quite sure. And as Onigiri putting up that Claymore is starting to put up some pressure up on the top floor here. He's hoping for a bit of a jump out. He's hoping for a bit of aggression to come through from Cyber. It really depends on what window it will be, because he prepped the one that hasn't been Claymored off.
Cyber's heading his way all the way down to the bottom of red, and they played some rotates before, but it's just a caution, as you said, if they try and go for a hop out, where they're going to decide to do it, because there is a little bit of half danger. DCH is making sure nobody comes on the swing on white. As they try and get some control here on the top of red, there's the reveal of the Mozzie. He's deep down in the basement, and it's very different to how they approached with the Jackal before against Rogue, where they started the Jackal off by himself. They don't trust themselves on a solo roam off the same way they had that confidence against the EU opponents earlier.
Nerek's already pushed himself down those red stairs. He's looking to hunt down Cyber at this manner. He's chasing these footsteps, and as he's slowly swinging around the corner, he will now know. All right, he's right over in the corner. He's a bit confused, but finds him either way before the C4 pops. It's the entry for Elevate, and that will be very helpful in the remainder of this round.
Well, he's about to find Cameraman, and Cameraman found him, but Onigiri found the kill onto Astro in the meantime, and that was the difference, as I said. previously, they sort of sent him in by himself and worked his bottom way to the top. Here, they went top down. Nerix chased them from that hatch all the way to the bottom, and there's a scrappy fight, but it's Onigiri that comes off worse for wear. Bullet goes for a bit of an aggressive retake on the territory and finds some success. But it's a little bit of a question mark there on the control that they had over Lounge, over the Cigar. It means they're going to have to rotate some bodies around, potentially try and hit themselves onto that close whiskey window. Cameraman, in the meantime, he's able to slip his way back up. He sort of went for a second onto a hunt, onto DCH, who still has 2 grenades in pocket. Maybe try and stop that reverse vertical that's about to start depth charging its way towards the top. The player gone, moved off, and Nerix is going to make sure nobody goes for the flank with the remaining 40 seconds.
Need to still go up to the top floor, mind you. 2 players below. Currently, Sapper is, I think, on the roof. I'm not quite sure. It's Nate that pushes through, however, and FaZe that respond with a bullet rain coming through. Spots are still coming out, but the 2 remaining players are not near the site as of yet. The diffuser needs to be recovered as well, and as Nerix takes quite a bit of damage, he has to turn off that Inox sensor because you just get a little bit of blurred view when you do start to take that damage. 10 seconds left on the clock. He doesn't find the first, but Cameraman gets traded out, but not before Bullet finishes him off either. And that means that FaZe continue their round winning spree, put it back up to 2 here, and put themselves up to 5-4. But nothing is over yet, because it looked for a while that ELV was actually in the lead for this round.
That's it, FaZe. They have that ability to bite their way back into a round. And, well, that is 2 in a row. They've been able to make sure that the lead that was briefly enjoyed by ELV is kind of instantly retaken. And now only 1 round separates them from potential series point here in Kitchen. As well, they'll see if they can lock it off. But obviously, if this drops, then Reading reopens. The first site they're able to get some success on after doubling down on Bar to find it, dropping it the first time round. Elevate. Still no timeout. Still no time to have a conversation. They think heads together they can crack this puzzle. They think they want to keep moving, keep momentum. They think that they can keep this pace up, and it's up to them to do it. As I said at the start, it's a do-or-die series. We're getting very, very closer to that ominous moment of it being a do-or-die round.
That's it. Once FaZe reaches 6, it is going to be that do-or-die moment. You either win 2 rounds in a row afterwards, or 1, depends on how it will go, or you will be sent home. After an impressive feat against Rogue earlier today, where you eliminated the one-to-last EU team, you are now the last standing APAC representative here. And everybody knows it, and everybody's cheering for Elevate. Everybody wants them to continue because we want to see APAC succeed. And whereas many would have expected it would have been Damwon Kia, who knows, it might be Elevate who reaches new heights for the side of APAC.
Long sight lines all the way out here on default cams being dropped. Nastro hits a window, but doesn't go for anything beyond it. Maybe expected some fire to come back. There is a player that's on mining window, and they're sort of waiting potentially for a swing to come around or a bit of support, but Cyber in the meantime gets a lockdown underneath. They can't quite get the trade out. They've pulled themselves back into Harry Potter, a pre-fire on the corner, but another body's coming down to offer some support. Cyber suffers through on the side there, gets just a little bit more done, but there is pings on the backside. You can see the player at the bottom of Brown Stairs holding off the rotation. They might see if they can cut them off at the pass, round on the backside, but it's still the site itself. They don't just have free reign of movement. They don't just have the confidence entirely, but they sure have a lot of gun skill. There it is. DCH, a bite from the bottom of white, and an EU on D just to breathe.
Just to slow it down a little bit there, ensure that FaZe cannot instantly push for a refrag. The big danger, however, is the verticality that FaZe currently has. 2 men above the prep area here, so as soon as they start pushing through, it is going to be a bit of a trap. They're going to be picked up one by one if they do, unless they find the angles before, and it seems Cyber Zero is sitting quite low here. It is actually a pre-fire to come in from the side of Nerix as well. They're trying to find these kills. DCH gets a bit surprised. What is happening? Cyber double kill! DCH! Cyber Zero misses the shots with the shotgun, and it's DCH that just finds a double as a response. Boots himself up onto 5 until it's a 4-2. Elevator looking to equalize the score here and bring it back to a 5-5.
No way! DCH, and I don't even think he believes he just pulled that off. They go for the swing into the drone. They pull themselves back. Just over a minute left. And with the 2 players back on the site and more pings and more E1Ds coming out, it's actually DCH and Nerix that suffer, but they pick up souls, leaving just Cameraman, but not for very long. Elevate. They bring it back level 5 apiece.
DCH in dining there, so important for that round. Picking up those 2 kills. And they are so hyped about it. Look at the smile on Agiri's face. It's just like, yeah, we're getting back into this. We're going to a map 3, believe it or not. And Astro is now picking the Kavera, but I think that might be 6 picked up. Or they're bluffing it. No, I don't know. Okay.
There it is.
I was going to say they might be bluffing it. Narix is off the actual
But you remember
Jackal,
Prano.
Yeah, you remember Prano. He was able to upset the Decisive Elevate.
They watched the game. And that's the thing. FaZe obviously watched the game. They obviously had a read on this. Whether they fully expected Kafe to make it through or not, they're prepared from recent play. And here, Elevate, they're keeping themselves fighting on Agiri. It's 15-7.
He could have almost hit 16 if 2 rounds ago, back on the bar. It was just a singular bullet away from making him be still alive and him hitting those 16 kills. So there's so many little things.
Little moments
that prevent him from rising above himself. So do the 3 entry kills that he was the victim of, for example. Imagine if he was alive in those rounds. He could have been already past the 27 kills right now.
Well, there will be a very quick rehost.
Okay.
Coming down. Everything's good. We're good.
We're good.
We're in.
We are in. We are gone.
Oh, okay, now everybody can clap. 5-5. We are so sorry about that, but sometimes these things happen. I guess, as I was saying before, for this tournament, I'm going to touch wood now, because obviously we've barely had any rehosts.
Now you said it.
No, I know. That's why I touched wood at the same time.
Yeah.
It's okay. I ended the luck. Oh, I ended the bad luck.
Yeah.
It would come through.
Otherwise, Demo will come in and do
I've-
exorcism or something.
We've had as many rehosts as a duo, at least, or at least I've cast, whether there were days that you weren't here, as times that we've had to stop because players injured themselves. Because there's been like 2 injuries I've been casting. There was one where there's one where somebody cut their thumb, and there was one where a player accidentally exploded or opened their hand warmer, and it had to be cleaned up. That might have been before you were here.
Well, it was definitely before I was here. I was like, what am I hearing?
Yeah.
Absolutely no clue. I mean, I casted someone breaking his hand. Or actually, it wasn't me. It was someone else, but I was watching.
We'll save that story for later.
We'll save that later.
With 30 seconds in, and the approach has finally started to hit its way onto the top floor. Bullet, he's looked behind the Goyo just on Pixel. He's waiting to see if he can smell some of the approach that might come across the top. Obviously, it's going to take a little bit of warming back in for this, and both teams being sort of neck and neck. It's been a bit of a back and forth, and there's the pre-place there underneath the hatch as the drones. I mean, Sapper might be able to get the call on that and the read.
Might be indeed. Minute has passed. Utilities being used by either side. One of the smoke canisters already pushed through as grenades are coming in as well now. Won't find their targets. One of them actually picked up in cameraman. An opening onto Nate with a C4, a pre-placed one.
There it is.
That will find the Zofia, so a little utility off the board for the side of Elevate.
Okay, just to put you back into the consideration of how much is on the line right now, this is the last APAC team, and these are the last 2 rounds that they have to try and lock this in. The Maestro over the top of the bar, but there's a second player about to swing in. Naric's able to get one, looks for the second, can't get the connection. He's going wider and wider, though. It's a very scrappy fight on the single wall, and there's a close grenade just to force the movement, but Soul's still able to get it, but there's the trade out. DCH keeps it level. The 3 versus 3 almost slipped away over the top of the bar there. Wasn't prepped for just a little drop down. And with a minute left, they've finally been able to at least find some battle back. A slip through and a rotation. The pre-fire just a little bit too high for Astro, who's made sure he has a bit more width onto the hold. And now he's going to see if he can slip on by. But the pings were here before, so he's being a lot of caution paid towards the pillar's corner.
Gets more information now, knows what's right behind the train. As Astro heard that drone, he'll take it out. Tries to move back in, but it is, of course, Enagiri that is currently locked into his position. 40 seconds left, and as he moves through back towards these holes that have been created before, he finds himself back into a safe ground area near that laundry machine. Of course, has to be very careful about the hatch to be opened up, but also about Enagiri that's about to be pressuring the 90 area. DCH right above as well. Enagiri is looking to pick up some more kills. He's looking to provide some chaos to whatever whatever it is that FaZe wants to achieve here with 15 seconds left on the clock. He goes down. Suddenly it's only up to Sepper now. He wanted to go for a plant, but they get shut down, and FaZe, they clean up that 3 versus 3 without taking any losses.
6-5. One round separates APAC from losing their last representative. One round separates FaZe from moving forward in the lower bracket, preparing themselves to a fight, and it's still scrappy. We might still see a third map here. Fireplace was potentially, but it's swapped out to Bar instead. A site that they're able to win before. They're not going to try and dabble on the mid-floor. They think...
What is
Please.
No.
No.
They can't choose site, but they just changed.
What?
They went from reading to Bar, and they said they can't choose site. Questionable things are going on, not quite sure. We might have to head for another round here.
What side did they...
They're Bar cocktail now. Determination, and as we are underway, it seems...
Oh my god, we're there.
We're there.
We're there.
We will get round 12. Let's just hope that
can we just
nothing breaks after this.
Can we just enjoy a moment of siege audio just for a second?
Yeah, we got the shotgun shells going out. We got the barbed wire that gets deployed. Drones that jump around. This is such a pleasant noise to hear.
Ah, there it is.
There it is. The good old
siege.
The good old destruction.
Okay, let's get a little bit of pep in our step here for what could be the last round of this best-of-3 showdown, or could be the start of a bit of a clawback. Elevate. They have one more opportunity here, one more chance to try and get a lock in, and the surprise factor may be in the pockets of Onigiri. Nook. We don't see her too often, haven't really seen her in too much of this exchange. Up to the top floor, preparing themselves for a take. All the way down to kitchen, all the way down to that potential hold, where obviously they lost it before, and it was a bit of an aggressive back and forth. It was a bit of an aggressive take, and the drones are going to start wearing their way all the way. There is all of the FaZe players down inside, and I think this was a slight difference that they had before. I don't think they were fully locked in underneath on the floor.
And I think this might be a crucial change as well. Of course, we just had a lot of downtime during these, well, round 10 and 12 before they finally got started. We had a short break with round 11. But they all have to get back into that focus, and maybe the roam doesn't really work that well. Maybe you just need to stick all together close and let Elevate work to get towards you. They have been pushed out of their rhythm as well. Time is not in their favor. And Elevate right now need to bring it back. They start to open up vertically. Be careful for C4s. There is going to be one on the board. Astro carries it together with his electric claws that have been deployed before. Trying to keep walls shut, or the hatch at this matter. And he's playing quite close around the brown stairs here, hoping to catch one elevator player off if he goes a little bit too carelessly.
Well, there's the first. Nay is able to get the opener here and pre-fires for the hope of a swing of the second, but they're not going to overextend the pop there. And Cyber's keeping a tight lock on the potential of the fight here, right round on that door. There is the pressure coming down from White, and that's the blow, that's the nook, that's the potential of a huge surprise factor, hoping to get a very sneaky pick here. But with the grenades in pocket, it's going to be the burn potentially on those ADS at first. But look at that. The other player that's just on the top of the hatch, they're looking towards that freezer control. They're getting the read that the player's not out. They still need to deal with this single player here first. We hear a bit of a burn, we hear a bit of a burst, and it's a wide swing, and there's a bit of a Jaeger. But I don't know if that got caught by an ADS.
It
did, and there's an attempt at a second. That one just goes a bit over.
Oh,
the first spray comes through, the nook shows up, and they're just able to connect. There's some revenge, and there's another player, the pistol. They're hunting, and they're locking down.
Onigiri with a double kill right there. We're starting to push Elevate through. They want to go to OT. They want to go to round 13 and potentially push us all the way over to Villa. As everything slows down a little bit here, Onigiri is going to be on that 1 HP. Just a single shot, but a Sapper goes down for the plant. It seems like no one on the side is ready. No, there is, however. It is going to be a Yokai drone. Can he find it? Yes, he will. But there is a second waiting. 7 seconds. He needs to time this perfectly. It goes off. He drops it and he moves it back up. He gets the stun, and it is FaZe. They lock it off in the end there. They did not have the manpower, but they did have to. Yokais. And after a long time out, it is FaZe that will be able to pick themselves back up, even on 2 men down, and send Elevate home. Elevate, who have played